Okay, let's talk about globalization and outsourcing. This is one of the topics that appears in the textbook, and I think it's very exciting one because when you look at IT and globalization, there's a good relationship. You can say globalization affect IT and vice versa, depending on how you look at it. So today's discussion is based on the article written by Thomas Friedman. It was written, I believe, 2007. I think he had a series of this article surrounding this topic. So that's something we're going to talk about. So as you can see in the content, this is module 3. And if you open up globalization and outsourcing, and those first thing appeared, key factors enabling globalization 3.0. And he laid out 10 different factors. He used the word flatteners and make the word small. And most of them are, as you can see, technology related, except first one, which is the fall of the Berlin Wall, fall of the Soviet Union, which is now, part of a Russian Federation. So I think that's very significant. I'm not sure how many of you have remembered, but that was very significant because this basically opened up the door between East and West. Especially those countries are kind of satellite countries, satellite states of the Soviet Union finally got the freedom so that they can move around any way they want, and they can even have their own country, their own states, and move the product services without any restriction. So that was the beginning of those free trade and all that. So in that regard, that's very important events. And if you can see this kind of picture there, that's showing the how the Berlin Wall looked like before the collapse. So you have east side and west side, and you got all those electric fans and watchtowers, and it's kind of scary, just like you have seen in the movie. All right, number two is the web browser, Netscape. Again, I think it's people who live, longer than you remember Netscape, which is the kind of cool web browser back then. Because there's other web browsers prior to that, but this Netscape is the kind of a first web browser that everybody's started using it. So it's very significant so that we can send, we can preview, we can upload whatever you want to do. But back then it was very slow because you're talking about 90s and until late 90s, Netscape was very popular and everybody's using Netscape. And starting from number three, which is workflow software uploading, outsourcing, even offshoring, are pretty much related those software so that you can improve the efficiency and effectiveness. So when you talk about um, workflow software, you talk about all those softwares are being used in workplaces, and even we use every day, right? Like uh, Office product, Microsoft Office, Adobe products such as PDF and other software that help you office productivity. And and many of them are using some very sophisticated office productivity software, which is like Asana and those kind of very specific software, so that we can collaborate uh, with any people as long as they have the same kind of software. Uploading, I think same thing. We talk about web browser, uploading, downloading are possible. So anywhere they can find the web browser, you can do so. Outsourcing, offshoring are very much related, and even supply chaining are kind of very closely related because when you talk about outsourcing, let me move it down a little bit. I had some kind of interesting questions for outsourcing, but I put some information about outsourcing example and some statistics. But back to the question of outsourcing, when we talk about outsourcing, people typically talks about offshoring. Okay, move your business operations to other country. But the real definition is not actually, it doesn't matter where it is out of country or out of state or out of town, just as long as you move your business to other places. That's outsourcing. So it doesn't have to be offshore, right? So people kind of a little bit mixed, use mixed kind of terms with those. But what we can use is offshore outsourcing, right? So this is more closely related to just outsourcing. So offshore outsourcing is basically, again, move your business operation to other countries by hiring third-party company, a third-party operation. So that's more like offshore outsourcing. And if you look at the examples of outsourcing, virtually every companies are using outsourcing. And again, because it doesn't have to be offshore, right? It can be out of state. It can be in the same town in different area. So even small companies are using outsourcing. And in terms of types of outsourcing, many companies have mixed up the outsourcing types, meaning that it doesn't have to be always the traditional outsourcing. They can mix up with the outsourcing, insourcing. They use automatic outsourcing tool. They use cloud-based outsourcing, and they use outsourcing seasonally. So there are so many different types of methods that you can try with outsourcing. So that's kind of trend we are seeing uh, last few years, last 10 years or so. So as you can see, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, of course, they are using outsourcing strategically. And when it comes to the numbers, the most widely used sector in terms of percentage of companies, I think it's pretty close in terms of manufacturing and IT services. But usually I think it's IT services have more outsourcing available so that they can take advantage of, and then followed by manufacturing. So you can say, I think this is a little bit uh, controversial, you can say, but I'm sure IT services has a more percentage in terms of percentage.